You may not be technically sound, but if your attitude is right, you can learn technical skills. You can learn anything in your life. Client से सिर्फ आप ये सोचें कि ये मुझे कितना revenue दे देगा. That will be very short term, right? But if you build personal relationship, very personable with the client, I think you will go very far.
How did ACCA help you to transition from being an employee to becoming such a business leader?
So I would see these people coming to these, the company I was working with, and I would see the confidence they carry with themselves, right?
Why people from other countries outsource work in India?
जो outsourcing global industry है, it's I think roughly about 3 point something trillion dollars, and which is expected to increase.
Dear students, सो एक क्वेश्चन आप लोगों का बहुत बार आया है कि मैम ACCA करने के बाद क्या क्या ऑप्शंस हैं? मैम सिर्फ बिग 4 ही हमारे पास ऑप्शंस है? क्या सिर्फ जॉब ही एंड है? तो ऐसे बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस आते ही रहते हैं। तो आज हम इन क्वेश्चंस का आंसर लेके आए हैं कि ACCA करने के बाद ऐसा और क्या एक्स्ट्रा ऑप्शन है जो कि आप चूज कर सकते हो, एंड ACCA करने के बाद आपके पास इंडिया में रहते हुए घर बैठ के या फिर अपना खुद का कुछ करने के लिए क्या क्या ऑप्शंस है। तो चलिए आज डिस्कस करते हैं।
डियर स्टूडेंट्स, वैसे तो पलक मैम ने सारा इंट्रोडक्शन दे ही दिया है कि ये जो आपका क्वेश्चन है कि हम खुद का प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते हैं, तो हम तो ओरली आपको बताते ही हैं, पर जब आप किसी लाइव एग्जाम्पल से मिलेंगे तो यू कैन बेटर अंडरस्टैंड कि हाँ सच में क्या पॉसिबिलिटीज़ है टू स्टार्ट आवर ओन प्रैक्टिस। प्लीज़ वेलकम ऑन दिस स्टेज Mr. Manoj sir.
Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you, Palak, and thank you, Physics Wala, for inviting me for this podcast. I'm delighted. I'm honored.
सर आप अपने बारे में बच्चों को कुछ बताइए। मतलब मैंने तो सिर्फ एक जनरल सा बताया है कि हमारे साथ एक लाइव एग्जांपल है, बट सर आपको डिटेल गाइडेंस देंगे कि सर क्या है, सर ने कैसे अपना बिजनेस शुरू किया है। सर प्लीज़ शेयर।
I started my career in 2006. जब मैंने अपना ग्रेजुएशन ख़त्म किया धर्मशाला हिमाचल प्रदेश यूनिवर्सिटी से, आई केम टू दिल्ली एंड दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट कॉर्पोरेट जॉब. आई स्टार्टेड वर्किंग विद टाटा टेली सर्विसेज लिमिटेड. इट वाज एन क्वालिटी एनालिस्ट जॉब. तो फर्स्ट जॉब थी, आई वाज अर्निंग मनी, डिसेंट मनी, एंड आई वाज स्पेंडिंग इट, एंड देन I felt there was a void, right? I wanted to do something extra, something additional, right? Then I decided to move to the UK. वहाँ पे मैंने MBA Finance में किया, and then in 2010, after completing my MBA, I got placed with NHS, which is National Health Services. It's a public body in the UK, and वहाँ पे Project Commissioning Officer की position थी. I got placed there. I started working there. फिर मैंने एक हॉस्पिटैलिटी और प्रॉपर्टी मैनेजमेंट कंपनी थी, वहाँ पे अकाउंटिंग का काम किया. एंड देन आई वर्क विद अ स्मॉल एंड मीडियम साइज प्रैक्टिस बेस्ड आउट ऑफ बर्मिंघम. एंड दैट्स व्हेन माय जर्नी विद ACCA स्टार्टेड. देन 2018 में आई डिसाइडेड टू कम बैक to India. India was booming. It's still booming. It's seeing that growth which no other country has seen so far. It has a lot of potential to offer. So I came in 2018, and then I started working with ASA, which is Baker Tilly India now, and I set up their outsourcing team. I worked there for almost 6 years, and then I decided to set up my own shop, my own firm, I would say, and which is Cynic Global Partners. So it's almost 1 year now, and that's where I am.
So, मनोज, जैसे कि आपने बताया कि आप यूके रहे हैं,
हाँ जी.
तो यूके रहते हुए सब लोग ACCA के तो ऐसे ही जानते हैं कि यूके और ACCA मीन्स यूके की CA, तो ऐसे ही बच्चे बोलते हैं. तो उसके अलावा इंटरनेशनल में, बिकॉज अभी आप जो है अपनी खुद की प्रैक्टिस में हैं, तो ACCA कितनी ज़्यादा इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे रिकॉग्नाइज्ड है?
ACA, I would say it's deeply respected. In the UK, it's mainstream. You go to any accounting firm in the UK, you would find either they are, run by, ACCA being their regulatory body. There are 4 or 5 bodies I remember. It's ICAEW, ACCA is one of them. And professionals are highly respected, right? They carry with them, that kind of weight. If they sign your audit papers, nobody would go and question them. In India, I think it's aspirational. A lot of youngsters, a lot of people, a lot of fresh graduates or people who have completed their 12th, they would want to pursue ACCA करना चाहते हैं, and ACCA can open up a lot of opportunities. I would say myriad opportunities. They can do anything in their lives, be it accounting, investment banking. Even if they want to set up their own business, they can do that. And not just accounting. The skills you would learn by studying ACCA are very transferable, so they can be applied in any sphere of your life. So that's what.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir, I would say कि your journey was really commendable, like doing multiple roles at multiple places and having lots of experience. तो मैं सिर्फ ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि how did ACCA help you to transition from being an employee to becoming such a business leader?
So good question. I think, and I didn't, thought about it that I would be asked this question. I think, but I would say the moment was not, dramatic. जैसे movies में होता है कि एकदम से मुझे, एक सवेरे उठा और मुझे लगा कि ACCA करना है and मेरी life change हो जाएगी. It wasn't like that. So as I said, I worked with NHS. There I was into project commissioning team. So there was a lot of documentation we had to do, a lot of audit trails we have to prepare. But it wasn't hardcore accounting role. It was more of a finance role, right? Where we were preparing budgets. We were seeing what could be the demands from the nurses and doctors to pursue higher education, and then we were preparing the budgets, approving them. Obviously, there were different approval levels. But then when I started working with this property management and hospitality industry, company, वहाँ पे I did, bookkeeping and accounting. So that was my hardcore experience into accounting. And जहाँ पे admin काम भी किया है, operations भी, HMRC को call करना. HMRC is like
Yes.
your income tax in India. Companies house को call करना, which is like, MCA in India, right? So उनको call करना, registrations कैसे होती हैं, very basic work, which actually is helping me out now a lot, right? So जब वहाँ पे वो start किया, and then I would see कि वहाँ पे auditors आते थे, or external consultants आते थे, and they were mainly from accounting and consulting firms. So I would see these people coming to these, the company I was working with, and I would see the confidence they carry with themselves, right? And, the way they would talk, the way they would present themselves, and, the kind of analysis they would do looking at the books, just your trial balance or your P&L balance sheet. At that time, we weren't preparing cash flow forecast or predictions in-house. So these guys were doing everything, right? तो वो आएंगे, CEO के पास जा रहे हैं, उसके साथ बैठ रहे हैं, discussions कर रहे हैं, so that looked very, enticing, like, you would get intrigued कि, इन लोगों ने क्या है. So then I got talking to them, and obviously I was working kind of with them, right? They were asking me for a lot of these reports. I was doing bookkeeping and all. So जब उनसे बात की, and then I thought I should go for ACCA because that carries a lot of weight. It's globally recognized, and it gives you that credibility in the market, right? And when you go and talk to somebody and say, okay, I am ACCA qualified, in India, a lot of people, they don't recognize it now, but obviously when you talk to people and people who know what ACCA is, they would have that kind of trust and confidence in your capabilities. So फिर मैंने job कहीं पे open position थी, I applied for it, मैंने वहाँ पे काम करना start कर दिया, and फिर वहाँ से मैंने ACCA पढ़ाई करना start कर दी. So that's how I got to know about ACCA and started with ACCA.
So मनोज, जैसे कि आपने ACCA किया एंड ACCA जर्नी में ऑब्वियसली आपको कुछ चैलेंजेस आए होंगे. सो उस चैलेंजेस को देखते हुए फिर उसके बाद ऐसा क्या हुआ जिसने आपको इंस्पायर किया कि आप खुद का जो है सिनेक्ट ग्लोबल पार्टनर जो है स्टार्ट करें? बिकॉज बीइंग एम्प्लॉयर एक कहीं ना कहीं लीडरशिप भी चाहता है. Correct. और उसमें कहीं ना कहीं रिस्क एंड चैलेंजेस होते हैं, हम जानते हैं. तो फिर भी आपने मतलब ये स्टेप लिया एक अच्छी एक फिक्स्ड इनकम को छोड़ते हुए, जो कि बहुत सारे लोग नहीं कर पाते हैं.
करेक्ट. नहीं, आपने ऑब्वियसली आपने क्वेश्चन में भी आंसर बता ही दिया कि इट्स चैलेंजिंग, एंड some people love to have those challenges, and some people are overly ambitious and they want to do something extraordinary, or I would say, with their lives. My life in the UK, I would simply put it as being an employee. I was given the task, I was doing the task. With me, I always, like to take accountability for whatever I do in my life, right? So यूके में भी जैसे व्हेन आई वर्कड विद दिस अकाउंटेंसी फर्म तो मेरा काम था टैक्स और अकाउंटिंग टीम में. सो आई वाज प्रिपेयरिंग वर्क पेपर्स, dealing with VAT matters. But then I see a lot of, they had this investigations team, more like forensics, right? So जहाँ पे tax investigation matters बहुत आते थे. So I hired few people. They were 3 to 4 people within my team. तो उनको delegate कर दिया, एक processes बना दिए कि वो काम करें, खुद ही चेकलिस्ट करें और मेरा रिव्यू का टाइम बचे. एंड देन द टाइम आई वाज सेविंग, आई वाज यूजिंग दैट टाइम टू गेट ऑन एडिशनल मैटर्स, टू लर्न समथिंग न्यू. सो नॉट द स्टैंडर्ड बट समथिंग एक्स्ट्रा. सो वो जील हमेशा से थी. एंड देन व्हेन आई केम टू इंडिया, obviously working with ASA and which is now Baker Tilly India. So I was lucky enough, probably I was at the right time at the right place. I started working with them and I was given a leadership role. So, and I am still very thankful to my leaders at ASA. They guided me well, they trained me well. In fact, then I was given the opportunity to lead teams, hire teams, create frameworks, different frameworks, participate in strategic board meetings, put my points across. Obviously, initially there was some hesitation because I wasn't into that role, but when given the opportunity and the right kind of mentorship, I was able to do that. वहाँ से जब हो गया, so then teams hire की, तो I was lucky enough, लोग अच्छे मिले मुझे जिनको भी मैंने hire किया. मतलब I would say 90% of the people I hired, they were gem of a people and I'm still in touch with them. They have taught me so much, right? Youngsters से आप हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ सीखते हैं, right? And India में anyways, all youngsters, all of us, we have kind of fire within us, right? And we want to, and we are, as I said, we are ambitious, we have that energy, we want to do something with our lives, we want to make a difference. So उन लोगों से मुझे काफ़ी कुछ सीखने को मिला, that energy, that vibe, how they operate, what they are thinking, how it can help me to lead teams and, to be their mentor. And obviously I was also getting mentored and I was able to mentor them. So that made a lot of difference. But then obviously I had that entrepreneurial streak in me, so I wanted to set up something of my own, though it was similar to what I would have done for myself in the role. But then फिर मैंने decide कर लिया कि let's set something of my own. So that's how Synect Global Partners, it came into picture. And वहाँ पे everything starting from scratch. It has its own challenges. It's exhausting, but obviously it's also very satisfying and very transformative at the same time. So you can take your decisions and sometimes you end up making wrong decisions, but obviously your prior experience help you out with that.
But definitely experience helps. And जैसे कि आपने बताया, you have set up your own firm. Our students want to know something like why people from other countries outsource work in India. Again,
interesting question, I think, but I won't say it's a mystery anymore. Outsourcing का main, I think, जो है reason for companies to send work to India is cost arbitrage. Obviously, they are saving money, and they are making greater profit margins. That's probably is the main reason. But it's not cost arbitrage. That's the only reason. In India, there is a talent availability. So a lot of people, they are studying accounting.
We have, yes.
A lot of talent we have. And I'm sure if you read the news, US में जैसे 30,000 or I think 300,000 shortage of accountants hai. People don't want to do accounting anymore in those countries, right? And they don't find it fancy to do accounting, वो number crunching और वो सारा करो. And there is a shift in what people want to do with their careers.
So we can say it's kind of demand-supply match.
Demand-supply match. Yeah. So we have the supply, they have the
demand.
Demand. So you absolutely put it correctly. So that's another. As I said, we have the talent. We have institutes like yourself training people in ACCA. Similarly, people are going for CPA, right? And all these qualifications, they are more of focused on countries like UK and the US, right? And our outsourcing industry, it's matured, right? And that's why people are not just relying on us as outsourcing team, sending work and dumping on us. they obviously are relying on us to give them that advisory support as well, right? That additional support. So I wouldn't say we are just doing number crunching. Data entry AI anyways will
Can do it.
replace
कर
it,
सकता है,
right?
right.
तो वो repetitive tasks वो replace हो जाएंगे, right? And which has already been happening. So lot of softwares you would use, you would see their rule setup. AI उसमें से काफ़ी चीज़ें अपने आप allocate हो जाती हैं. So but what they are relying on us is for professional judgment, right? Our technical expertise,
Yeah.
the ability to talk to them and finding solutions for their problems. So I think that's the kind of roles. Time एक बहुत बड़ा advantage है. US हमसे, if you talk about California, so it's almost 12 and a half to 13 and a half hours difference, right? Depends on the daylight saving. So जब वो अपना दिन start करते हैं, हमारा दिन खत्म हो गया होता है. So we would have done the work for them. They would
it's
come and review. So
ready
that's the
for
time
them to-
advantage.
Yeah.
Correct.
But it all depends how you make the best use out of it, right? Sometimes it's a boon, but sometimes it's a...
So, our ACCA students, what roles they can play in outsourcing firms like yours?
Well, a lot of roles. As I said, once you have completed your ACCA, you can do anything in your life, right? It just doesn't give you those technical skills, but it also helps you to become better leaders in the world and who are ethically focused. Because there is a section when I did my ACCA, there was a huge course on ethics,
Yeah,
right?
EPS
Which you have to
module.
do,
Still
right?
there.
And it was very interesting because it was lengthy. You have to read a lot, but it's very interesting. And when you read it, you implement it, so you become that ethically focused. You want to do the right thing in your life, right? So एक तो वो भी हो गया. So you become good managers, good leaders. You can be outsourcing leads in any outsourcing company. You can help with audit support, tax support, accounting support. ESG or carbon accounting, they are very high in demand. So that's where ACCA has very good curriculum for ESG and carbon accounting and emissions. And Western nations, anyways, they are getting into that regulatory framework to have these standards in place. So that's where ACCA students can help. CFO roles, once you have worked and gained some experience, you can be a CFO, controller. Apart from that, if you also learn some AI, so you can also be AI specialist, within your organizations who are more into data-oriented roles. Investment banking is another one, where you can explore and you can be investment bankers. There's a guy who's working with me. He wants to be an investment banker. So, and he's very keen after completing his ACCA. You can obviously supplement it with other qualifications. You can go for CFA or something. But there are a lot of opportunities, I would say.
सो मनोज, जैसे कि आपने अपना खुद का अकाउंटिंग बिजनेस सेटअप किया, आपने खुद की फर्म जो है स्टार्ट की, तो अगर बाय चांस किसी स्टूडेंट ने खुद का ही ऐसे प्रैक्टिस सेट करना हो, बिकॉज बच्चों का एक बहुत ही रहता है कि मैम ACCA करके सिर्फ जॉब, बिकॉज इंडिया में बहुत सारे लोगों का ये कंपैरिजन रहता है कि CA जो है अपना कर सकते हैं, तो हम ये तो उनको समझाते ही हैं कि आप जो है ACCA करने के बाद चाहे इंडियन ऑडिटिंग में नहीं जा सकते हो, बट ACCA करने के बाद आपके पास प्रैक्टिस करने का तो ऑप्शन है, चाहे वो आउटसोर्सिंग फॉर्म में हो जैसे कि आप कर रहे हैं. तो ऐसी कौन सी स्टेज पे स्टूडेंट को डिसाइड करना चाहिए कि अब मैं क्वालिफाइड हो चुका हूँ या फिर अब जो है मैं मेंबर हूँ एंड अब मेरे को अपना बिजनेस मैं आपकी तरह सेट कर सकता हूँ, बिकॉज आई गेस आपके पास भी प्रायर एक्सपीरियंस कहीं और था, तो कब ऐसा लगे?
आई थिंक उसको टाइम फ्रेम देना कि कितने साल का एक्सपीरियंस और कितने साल आप करो, आई डोंट थिंक दैट वुड बी द राइट थिंग टू डू. बट वो वो होता है ना, वो अंदर से फीलिंग आ जाती है. सो यू वुड नो ओके यू वांट टू स्टार्ट समथिंग. बट आई वुड से कि जैसे आपने ACCA कर लिया है, दैट्स जस्ट माय सजेशन. सो इवन टू बिकम एन ACCA member, you need 3 years of professional PERs, right? Professional experience requirements. So obviously you have gained some kind of experience. So वो 3 साल का एक्सपीरियंस लेने के बाद I would recommend कि कहीं पे काम करो, सीखो. People who are in the industry, learn those leadership skills, conflict resolution, managing people, आप क्लाइंट के साथ बात कैसे करनी है, क्लाइंट के साथ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स आ जाते हैं, राइट? वो सारी चीज़ें यू हैव टू लर्न. मान लो क्लाइंट ने आपको पैसा नहीं दिया, सो हाउ टू go about it, right? You cannot be too blunt with the client.
Correct.
So all those are skills, right?
Yeah.
Which probably education won't give you. So you have to learn it by way of getting experience, right? तो थोड़े साल काम करो, सीखो, and then you will have that internal calling कि जहाँ पे आपको लगेगा yes, I am ready to set up my own. Again, once you set up your own, you will still end up making mistakes, right?
Yeah.
जो मैंने भी किए हैं, right? Mistakes क्या, you try and do everything by yourself. That's a huge mistake. It burns you out, right? So वो delegation बहुत ज़रूरी है.
Yeah.
But obviously then you have to make that cost benefit analysis. You don't want to spend too much when you start off your own. So वो आपकी budgeting वो सारा देख के, इंडिया में तो वैसे भी registration लेना it takes a lot of time. I'm sure you would understand being a CA, right?
Yeah.
तो GST registration it became such a
It's
mammoth
already a-
task for me कि मुझे 3 महीने लगे एक GST registration के लिए, So everything it has its own challenges, but it would look glamorous, कि हाँ कोई अपना setup कर रहा है बहुत
Yeah.
जगह, but at
But
the
it comes
at the
with lots of challenges.
lot of challenges and lot of sacrifices,
Yeah.
I would say, especially I've got 2 kids, right, and I've got a family, so managing everything with family. मैंने CPA भी सोचा था start करूँगा, right? So everything is like you open too many friends, so you have to be calculated about it. But you learn it by way of making mistakes, right? तो जितनी गलतियाँ पहले हो सकती हैं वो कर लो, सीख लो, ताकि
Yeah.
बाद में ना करो,
Correct.
right?
That's true.
Prevention cost.
Prevention is better than cure always, right?
Definitely,
Right.
always.
And you always say learn from others' mistakes, but I think what you learn from making
Your
mistakes by
own
yourself,
mistake, that is
you
so
would
true.
never learn it
Yeah.
from
Correct.
others' mistakes,
That's so true.
right?
So, what do you think is the future of outsourcing in upcoming 5 to 10 years?
Future is bright. There's no doubt about it. आप कुछ भी पढ़ो, you read any, business magazine or newspaper, you would see कि जो outsourcing global industry है, it's I think roughly about 3 point something trillion dollars.
Okay.
And which is expected to increase to $7 trillion by 2030, which is almost doubling it up, right? So I'm sure you can imagine the kind of, expansion we're gonna see in the outsourcing services industry. Second is roles change हो रहे हैं. जैसे मैंने कहा outsourcing में, Indians are not just considered as people who are sitting and doing data entry.
Yeah.
We are helping them out.
True.
Role of accountants is changing from your compliance to advisory, and you would see this term in a lot of talks where people or CEOs of accounting firms or partners, they would talk about shifting of role from being just doing the compliances to advisory roles, right? PE investment, right, जो private equity backed accounting firms है, you would see वो बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रही हैं अब. Private equity firms, they are investing a lot of money into accounting industry. Obviously, PEs तभी invest करते हैं because they can see the returns कि उसमें return on investment होगा. They would make money out of it. और काफ़ी firms हैं जहाँ पे PE ने invest किया हुआ है. आपका Grant Thornton है,
Yeah.
Baker Tilly US है, CRI है, आपका PKF है. So there are a lot of firms where PE has invested. तो PE investment से क्या हो रहा है कि now firms are forced to work in like a professional services firm, not like cottage industry कि दिल किया कर दिया. These PEs, they want the returns on their investment. They want these firms to be very efficient, right? And they want these firms to automate everything which can be automated, right? Because आपका return तभी आएगा, otherwise you won't make money out of it, right? That's when there is an investment. कोई आपके ऊपर आके खड़ा हो जाए कि मैंने पैसा डाला है, so I need the returns. Then what is happening? These firms are being then forced to merge or acquire other firms. तो US में जैसे हुआ, Baker Tilly US ने Moss Adams को acquire कर लिया, right? So they are increasing their footprint, right? वैसे consolidations हो रही हैं, काफ़ी ज़्यादा alliances बन रहे हैं, this is shrinking and bigger players are coming into place. UK में आपका MHA जो है, which is again Baker Tilly firm in the UK, it's called MHA. They listed on London Stock Exchange last year, and they raised almost 100 million GBP, I think, out of their market capitalization of almost 300. Numbers may not be actually correct, but yeah, approximate numbers. And that was one of the biggest listings of business support services entity in the UK in 5 years. So you can see the scale at which it is moving. It is moving very fast. ESG or carbon accounting is another thing. there was one other data security, cybersecurity, data
Cybersecurity, yeah.
governance, because everybody works in cloud now, right?
True.
Outsourcing maybe, even if it's not outsourcing. And COVID has taught us a lesson, right? COVID has made us realize that, you can use the cloud, you can work from anywhere. Like for you guys, right? You're working from your hometowns. My team, there's no office, right? We all work from home. So there's that work from home culture which has set into place. So with all that, you need the secure servers, right? You need good data security,
Internal
cybersecurity in
controls.
place.
True.
So that will open up a lot of avenues, and a lot of people are going. AI automation, that's anyways,
Correct,
there's no
yeah.
doubt about it. We hear AI as soon as you wake up in the morning and till the time you sleep off. AI
So
is
true.
everywhere, right? So a lot of opportunities. Repetitive tasks, they'll be gone. People who are doing repetitive tasks, they need to upgrade themselves, make sure, they learn new skills. And they work in tandem with AI, because we don't need to work against AI. We need to work with it. So we are also learning. We
Yes.
are, to be honest, we also use ChatGPT and all, and
Correct,
everyone
yeah.
uses it. And there's no, there's no need to feel shy about it. So yeah.
सो जैसे कि अब हम देख रहे हैं कि एआई का रोल भी आ रहा है एंड कहीं ना कहीं आप अकाउंटिंग की भी बात कर रहे हैं दैट अकाउंटिंग इज़ एवरीवेयर नाउ डेज और इससे अब हम क्या समझते हैं कि स्टूडेंट्स अपने आप को कैसे प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं जैसे कि आप इंटरनेशनल क्लाइंट्स के साथ वर्क कर रहे हैं तो क्वालिफाइड होने से पहले भी वो क्या करें ऐसे कौन से स्किल्स डेवलप करें जिससे कि उनको आपकी जैसी फर्म्स में या किसी और फर्म में काम करने का मौका मिले इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे
Very good question. I think my first take is, which I always say to anyone I hire, and you would need people with good attitude.
या
So एक तो attitude आपका वो होना चाहिए, सीखने वाला, कुछ करने वाला, right? You may not be technically sound, but if your attitude is right,
will
you
be
can learn
learning
technical
it.
Yeah,
skills. You can learn
definitely
anything in
true.
your life. अगर आप टेक्निकली बहुत साउंड भी हैं बट आपका एटीट्यूड राइट नहीं है इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू वर्क विद सच पीपल राइट एंड आई हैव सीन इट बाय वे ऑफ माई एक्सपीरियंस सो एटीट्यूड इज द फॉरमोस्ट यू शुड नो एंड देन यू शुड ऑल्सो नो हाउ टू पुट योर क्वालिफिकेशन इन टू यूज ACCA विल गेट यू थ्रू द डोर राइट आपको एक जॉब दिला देगी ACCA विल मेक यू डू दैट एंड दैट्स द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट कि आपका दरवाज़ा खुल गया
या
but then it totally depends on you how you use it
That
right
definitely.
then आपकी कॉम skills soft skills जैसे professional judgment
यस
आपके
फंडामेंटल एथिक्स
फंडामेंटल एथिक्स कैसे आप लोगों से डील करते हैं अपने
Yeah.
टीम मेंबर से अपने क्लाइंट से राइट हाउ स्ट्रांग आर यू इन कीपिंग योर पेपर वर्क राइट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन प्रॉपर लॉट ऑफ स्किल्स और ACCA स्टूडेंट्स के लिए आई थिंक when they are studying they should try and work somewhere वो practical experience it's very important Excel हम जो मर्जी बोल रहे हैं Excel is not gonna go away I get email every day saying कि Excel is outdated it won't be but I use Excel every day वो रहेगा ही Excel सीखो there are a lot of free courses and you can learn Excel कहीं पे part time job कर लो volunteer कर लो learn some skills and I'm not saying just in accounting even आप charity में जाके volunteer करो when you meet people you're gonna learn something out of
Yes,
it right
that's true.
कि आप interact कैसे करना है
Yeah.
body language your eye contact that everything matters right I think once you are done with your ACCA then start applying for jobs LinkedIn पे अपना account बना लो start collaborating with people
So as you are on LinkedIn, so what do you think that how important is networking for global exposure?
LinkedIn is very important. Again, depends on how you use
Yeah.
it, right? We shouldn't use it like people would use Facebook. It should be, but हाँ, professionally अगर आप use कर रहे हैं and you know what you are posting on LinkedIn, your posts are, related to your profession and they're not personal in nature. I think, and obviously there are courses on LinkedIn which I think obviously ACCA students can go for. कि LinkedIn को यूज़ कैसे करना है किन के साथ आपको कनेक्ट करना है one shouldn't accept invites from everyone you should know who you should connect with at the same time just don't think about yourself think about others like I'm talking about senior people like the roles you are into I am into so I try and connect with every student right on LinkedIn and see where I can help that person out and collaborations is the key you talk to people you try and see sometimes it gets you to that job which probably you won't be able to get it by applying for it. You know, you make connects, you go and meet them, talk to
Yeah,
them.
I do remember. I got my all the job opportunities from LinkedIn only.
हाँ मेरा भी वैसे हुआ है.
Yeah.
मतलब I won't say LinkedIn के through हुआ है, but हाँ वो collaboration और communication
Yeah.
के through हुआ है. I met somebody at a football match. I got talking to them. They referred me somewhere, and I got the job. So a lot of time it's just connects and
Networking.
relationships you build,
Correct.
right?
That's true.
And when you build relationships with the purity of the heart, instead of ये देखने की बजाय कि मेरा वो क्या benefit
benefit,
करेगा,
exactly.
if you just build for the trust and for the sake of building relationship, I think you'll get very far, right? And that goes into your clients as well. Clients से सिर्फ आप ये सोचें कि ये मुझे कितना revenue दे देगा, that will be very short term, right? But if you make that personal relationship very personable with the client, I think you'll go very far.
So it was great interacting with you. Just one thing, ki if there is one piece of advice for our student, what it would be from your side?
It would be very difficult to sum up and give an advice. मतलब I won't say an advice, but I think आपके students, I'm sure you all are studying very hard for your ACCA, and my experience has taught me it's not easy, especially when you are studying and working at the same time. I think it won't be a one piece of advice. I'm gonna give 2-3 pieces of advice. So the most important aspect is take care of your physical and mental health. That's the most important aspect. The qualification you are pursuing, it will take you very far. It has that global credibility where people recognize it. Make sure you learn as much as you can from Palak and Akanksha, right? And other tutors at Physics Wala. Learn it. Put those skills into use. Try and find some opportunities where you can work, volunteer. You can do some part-time opportunities, and it's gonna give you the confidence, and you can excel throughout your lives. You go any part of the world, you can do anything anywhere in this world. So that's what I would say, and I'm talking about from my personal experience, right? I have that confidence in me, so I'm sure you would carry the same confidence in you.
So बच्चों, आई गेस आप लोगों को बहुत सारी एडवाइस, बहुत सारी नॉलेज मिली, एंड एक क्वेश्चन जो कि आपके माइंड में हमेशा रह रहा था कि ACCA करने के बाद प्रैक्टिस का ऑप्शन अवेलेबल है. जी हाँ, अवेलेबल है. आपको सिर्फ इंडिया लेवल पे नहीं सोचना है, आपको ग्लोबल लेवल पे सोचना है. हमेशा मैं आपको यही बोलती आई हूँ कि हमें इंडियन करेंसी नहीं, हम अगर पाउंड में पे करेंगे तो हम पाउंड लेवल का कमाने का भी सोचेंगे. और ऐसे ऑप्शंस हैं, बस आपके अंदर ज़ील होनी चाहिए सीखने की, आपके अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए कि कोई बात नहीं, जॉब की फिक्स्ड इनकम को भी हम एक बार छोड़ सकते हैं, हम रिस्क लेंगे, हम रिस्क अवर्स नहीं हैं, हम रिस्क सीकर हैं. और ऐसे वाला अगर एटीट्यूड है, आप रिस्क ले सकते हैं. आपके अंदर लीडरशिप क्वालिटीज़ हैं, आपके अंदर नेटवर्किंग की क्वालिटीज़ हैं, और सबसे बड़ी बात, आप जो है इस इंडस्ट्री से सीखते हुए जाते हैं, तो आपके लिए प्रैक्टिस डिफ़िकल्ट नहीं है. अपनी जर्नी को समझिए कि क्या आप प्रैक्टिस में जाना चाहते हैं या नहीं, और अगर हाँ, तो ACCA आपके लिए ये डोर भी ओपन करके बैठा है.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, my pleasure.
We got to know a lot of things from you. And I hope students आपको भी काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें समझ आई होगी that nothing happens overnight. Every good thing takes time. तो हर अच्छी चीज़ करने में समय लगता है. So that is the greatest piece of advice. And काफ़ी सारी advices हमको सर ने बताई है कि सिर्फ आपका जो एजुकेशनल नॉलेज है वो आपको सीखना है, बट साथ साथ में और भी चीज़ें you need to know, like creating relations, networking, taking care of your health. Everything matters when you want to go ahead.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Take care and all the best.